He joins us because I wanted to get him on in the first half of the hour about the communist goals and how mega rich fund communism and socialism as a tool of control. Because people get confused by that. Why does George Soros fund socialism and communism? Why did the New York banks fund the Bolshevik Revolution? On record, that was in congressional testimonies and came out in documents in multiple committees. What are the big foundations up to? Capture both of the political parties of the United States. Use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil laws. Use fake civil rights to trump basic human rights and God-given rights. Get control of the schools. Use them as a transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum. Use student riots to foment public protest. Infiltrate the press. Get control of book reviews. Continue discrediting American culture. And now it's been declassified. The CIA would put out decadent art to then basically then discredit beautiful art. And again, now you turn on any children's show, any movie, it's meant to sell you on ugliness to where now anything good and pure, it's not enough to accept gays now. No, being straight is bad, we're told in the news. You see it everywhere. And again, this is done as the subversion program. First they want to subvert, then they want to basically undermine the society. They want to collapse the society and then reorganize it. So we are literally seeing saboteur operations going on. And then you understand these are not liberals, folks. They knew Obamacare would hurt poor people. They knew it would bankrupt the country. They want full control. They hate the masses. Communists at the top are never really communists. They are banker technicians conning the unwashed masses. So I wanted him to break down the program that came out that they've now discredit the American founding fathers. That's number 30. Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man when it was the opposite. They hadn't fully realized these dreams, but they were the first to really put it in paper and move it forward. And so he joins us now to talk about that. Then at the bottom of the hour, I want to get into the geopolitical outlook, the economy, the Russians, the Chinese, what's happening in the Middle East, the major builds up for continued authoritarianism, but the huge awakening we see unfolding with Joel Skousen. And when I told him I wanted you on a few days ago, I hope they relayed that it was about this, but I know you're an expert on it, so you can speak to it. But now, who can deny they're trying to undermine culture and any good institutions so they can collapse them and bring in a total takeover? Joel Skousen.
Well, thanks, Alex. It's good to be with you.
It's good to be with you.
One of the things that I want to point out at the inception here, as I've gone through the 45 goals that Clinton extracted from communist writings, it's important to realize that you won't find this listed anywhere in communist literature. In other words, this was in bits and pieces from various different communist writers at the time, and actually only about half of them have come true. And what's most interesting, and you've mentioned some of those especially, and I might mention, getting UN recognition for Red China, replacing Taiwan was a communist goal, doing away with all loyalty oaths, resisting any attempt to outlaw the Communist Party. All those have been done. Russia continued access to the U.S. Patent Office. They did not, however, able to capture both political parties, that is, for the Communist Party. They were not able to get control of the schools, per se. But the schools have been under the control of what we would call globalists. And this is the most interesting thing about what's happened, is that when I look at the list of what they were able to accomplish out of these 45 goals, the half that approximately that were able to be achieved were not achieved by communists, but they were achieved by non-communist globalists and socialists and leftists and liberals in the United States who all share the same, philosophy.
That's the key, is that the Carnegie Endowment and the Ford Endowment, as you know, had helped fund the Bolshevik Revolution and all the rest of it. So it wasn't that they were imitating the communists. It was that they had been the progenitors of that movement going back even to the 1850s as a way to control rebellions by serfs against one form of slavery. They were now going to bring in another. And so the Russians And the KGB and others were actually working for some of the same goals as the Western establishment, as Carol Quigley wrote.
And, for example, on the infiltration of the press, I mean, you know, in the 40s, and there were quite a few communists in the press, but even some of the major communists that Whittaker Chamber exposed, like Alger Hiss, turned out to be a globalist who only joined the Communist Party to facilitate bringing them into the State Department and to make the communists feel like they had one of their people at the top levels of the Roosevelt administration and Truman administration. But in fact, he was a globalist facilitating these things. And that's what people have to understand, is that this has broad support among anyone who's basically on the receiving end of satanic inspiration. And it includes conspiracies, it includes unthinking liberals, it includes the gay community.
That's what you're getting at, is there's an energizing spirit throughout history that weaves the same web.
That's right. And, I know a lot of people don't believe in God, and a lot of people don't believe in Satan, but they're both very, very real, and they both speak to people's minds. It comes in our own voice, comes in your own grammar, so it sounds like you talking to yourself. But people know, people recognize when temptation comes in and when good inspiration and good reminders come. And this is the battle of civilization, is the test that's going on in each people's mind of what voice are we listening to. And they don't have to be full communists to be listening to a voice that will denigrate culture, denigrate society, and rail against, even Ayn Rand, who was a libertarian, railed against God. She hated God. She hated that voice of conscience, which spoke out against her immorality and her lust and other things. And other people who get involved in sin have the same problem. And that's why there is a relationship between bad judgment and sin and the kind of hateful philosophies that end up being created in the minds of men by listening to the wrong sources. And so it's very interesting that this could be a list equally as useful to globalists, as liberals, as communists, even though they aren't members of the Communist Party.
But in the 90s, it did come out, almost all of these goals, one way or another, were actually being carried out to subvert. But then we learned the CIA, as was declassified last year, was involved trying to put out trash art and trash culture. Well, that's obvious when, look what they did at the Grammys, and now every other public event, they're having open satanic ceremonies and gay marriages. I mean, there is an agenda there. I mean, since when is that what America is known for, is satanic ceremonies and gay marriages?
Well, one of the things that you brought to the public's attention was the Bohemian Grove and the satanic rituals there, and you have top politicians and leaders in the United States being invited and participating in that. So it's hard to separate the satanic element that's driving this force and the various superficial organizations that are created, and there are many of them, whether it's the Bilderberg Group, whether it's the Communist Party, whether it's Fabian Socialism, Council on Foreign Relations.
Exactly, and when I was in Bohemian Grove, you could say it was a joke, a bunch of guys reenacting a ancient Babylonian ritual mixed in with some druidic rituals, but the old men in the crowd, I talked to, said, oh, this is interesting, and they literally growled at me. They were in focused, hateful, religious rapture, and some of them had tears coming out of their eyes, Joel. I mean, what does that sound like to you?
Well, I can believe that, but I mean, these people, we have to remember what drives so many people to get involved in this control system is the promise of immunity. This is a powerful system that controls courts, it controls congressmen, it controls the president.
Man, you're smart. The whole ritual was about immunity. They thought they were getting immunity in that ritual. That's what they were doing.
Exactly. And in fact, I believe that there's, not only immunity on this earth, and we see that happen all the time. I mean, Bill Clinton and the presidency acted as if, hey, nobody can touch me, and he was right. Nobody could touch him because he was on the right, on this, the control side. But I think in terms of the satanic ritual, I think there's also part of the Faustian pact is the promise of immunity from God's judgment. And, that's what I think Isaiah 14 is all about, when all the rich men and high men of the world are sitting in chains in hell, waiting for him that was going to thrash the world to come down and save them. And then they see him descend in chains, and they say, art thou become one of us? meaning Satan descends and they realize, oh, the immunity pact is broken. He isn't going to be able to save us. I think that's what Isaiah was talking about.
Jakari Jackson here, and I want to talk to you for a second about water. You know about ProPure, our flagship water purification system, but check out some of our portable water filter products at InfoWarsStore.com. The clearly filtered water pitcher. Also, for those of you on the go, we have the Athlete Edition filtered water bottle and the RAD Eliminator Pro filtered sports bottle that removes radiation. And keep in mind, we have replacement filters for all of these products. The ever-popular grab-and-go bag favorite, the Life Straw, the Crystal Quest shower filter system, and the Aquapod kit, great for mass storage of water. And while you're at the InfoWars shop, pick up a copy of our latest book, 31 Days to Survival. You can find all this and more at the InfoWarsStore.com. And don't forget, it's your support that funds our operation. Sign up for our free newsletter at InfoWars.com/newsletter.
Everyone that I know has a serious feeling in their gut of concern. It's increasing. I've never had so much concern. And I think of the globalists, what fools they are. I instinctively, but at a spiritual level, know that the big sin is leading people astray, trying to get people into evil, trying to take advantage of childlike minds, as Christ said, suffer the little children. We're not just talking about children there. We're talking about young people, folks that are looking up to you. And you talk about God-fearing. I just feel it in my spirit. If something's bad, I don't even want to do it. Thinking about it, even to study it, makes me have fear of separation from God. Not that I'm some great goody two-shoe or anything, but I don't do conscious evil, and I have a drive to stand up against evil, and that's why I don't have fear of it. I have fear of letting it take over. But I think about what fools the worldly are. They either hate God because they feel the judgment, even if they say God isn't real, or they do literally at Bohemian Grove conduct all these rituals and say to absolve them from the care and what they've done in the last year, and they take it very seriously, as if some satanic ritual is going to get them out of what they've done. I mean, even in the real world, when they allow radiation out of Fukushima, it hits their kids and them as well. I mean, they may get a few get-out-of-jail-free cards, but this is the height of delusion. But you're right, it's the heart of the world is about escaping judgment, but that just seems so mindless. I mean, a 5-year-old should know you can't escape judgment forever.
Well, you have to remember that these people have a great motivation to escape judgment. They've got a mountain of sins, and they've got a mountain of evil intent as well. And what keeps them going is the fact that someone is promising immunity, and they really do act as if. I mean, let me point out from another point of view. I often get this question. How is it that the globalists, the most wealthy men in the world with all the ownership of factories and major inroads into big corporations, why would they bring upon the nation and induce a Russian and Chinese nuclear attack knowing that it's going to destroy their infrastructure? And the answer is that no man, no evil person would simply conjure up that kind of scenario, that kind of a plan on his own. The only way a human being looking out for his best interest would do that if someone more powerful than him had said, you do what I say and I grant you immunity. You will come out unscathed. Now, he won't be able to fulfill those promises. But that's the only thing that gets smart, evil people to go along with an agenda that does threaten their existence. They've been promised immunity. They've been promised that they'll escape. Now, that's one of the reasons why people in our government, even retired CIA, DEA, FBI, they build major bunker safe room systems in homes in Colorado, Utah, and other safe places. I mean, these people are not dumb. They know what's coming, and they are preparing to defend themselves. And the government, of course, in its continuity government program, has huge new underground bunkers, a major system in the West Utah desert to replace Cheyenne Mountain, which they know is a known target. They're doing a lot of secret bunker systems because they know the Soviets and the Chinese know where the original ones were, and they want protection. But as I say, ultimately, Christ is going to have the last say. His second coming, I believe, comes because Satan has near total control over the entire world. except for a remnant of good people which won't be allowed to be destroyed. I mean, we've got a real battle royal on our hands, Alex, and you're doing a great job in terms of alerting people to what's coming. But the big thing is people need to know it's not necessarily economic collapse that's the major problem. It is this war with Russia and China, and they are both building for it. And we are disarming, proposing in the next few months another disarmament treaty with Russia, even though they have been violating every single one. And can you imagine the irony of that is that we have three nuclear powers, major nuclear powers, and we're negotiating with one, disarming as if the third, China, doesn't make any difference. I mean, talk about a fool's paradise. You know that's not sane disarmament when you aren't even suggesting a disarmament treaty with the third, which is going to slowly outstrip even Russia in terms of ability for a nuclear throw weight.
Renowned author and expert Joel Skousen breaks down the globalist plan to shut down America and stage a new world war.
In one day, America will go from day to night. And if you haven't prepared in advance, there's not enough time to prepare in 24 hours, even if you saw it that early.
Coming to the InfoWar in November is our new documentary film presentation.
Strategic relocation is a systematic way to think strategically in the future about how do I safeguard.
Joel Skousen, Strategic Relocation.
The freeways are going to be crowded, they're going to run out of gasoline, they're going to run out of food, and then they're going to start to go north and south of those freeways.
Joel Skousen is renowned as one of the world's foremost experts in strategic relocation and the securing of your home.
We talk about natural disasters, the health environment, we talk about pollution, the water quality. My personal experience about being in every one of these states.
Government is digging in for the organized, incremental collapse of society and world war.
The U.S. isn't building huge underground bases and bunkers because of some terrorist threat. They know that a massive nuclear attack is coming. They want that attack to come. Most people won't even be ready and won't be able to get out of town when any of these nuclear weapons fall, because there'll be absolute panic.
There is no preparedness without strategy.
What I tell people is that you do have time. Prepare wisely in advance.
This Christmas, give the gift of preparedness. Strategic Relocation, the film, with Joel Skousen and Alex Jones.